4 million R-vees were built, but not all of them made it to a driveway.
Other news tonight, a scary situation for one Las Vegas man after the R-V he was driving caught fire on a local freeway this morning.
Across the country, spotless rigs are vanishing from lots, stripped for parts, or quietly destroyed. Dealers are buried in debt. Lenders are reclaiming stock, and fenced-off yards are filling up with like-new R-vees you'll never see again. This isn't bad luck. It's a cover-up hiding billions in losses. And once you see where those rigs really go, you'll never trust the sticker again. The 4 million dump? Dealers aren't slashing prices out of generosity. They're trying to survive one of the worst gluts the RV market has ever seen. After years of post-pandemic overproduction, the industry now sits on roughly 4 million like-new units that never found a buyer. According to data from the RV Industry Association, shipments peaked at more than 600,000 units in 2021 and then crashed to barely 300,000 by 2024. Production kept running long after demand had stopped, flooding the system with models that buyers no longer wanted or could no longer finance at higher interest rates. Drone footage taken over storage yards in Indiana and Ohio shows endless rows of wrapped motorhomes, many with 0 miles on the odometer, baking under the sun. Each one represents a balance sheet liability, not a sale. The factories that once bragged about record output now struggle to keep the lights on, and dealers who ordered heavy inventory in the boom are drowning in costs they can't escape. The collapse isn't just in sales, it's in confidence. The surge that once promised record profits has become a financial trap. This isn't about slow sales, it's about survival math. The overflow didn't stay hidden for long. It spilled straight into dealer lots that were never built to hold it. Showrooms turn into storage yards. Across the country, what used to be shiny showrooms now look more like parking lots after a canceled event. Rows of unsold Class A and Class C rigs stretch beyond the flagpoles, covered in dust and unpaid interest. Every unit sitting on that pavement costs its dealer an average of $500 to $700 per month in financing and insurance. Multiply that by dozens of units, and a single small dealership can be burning through tens of thousands before selling a single coach. Dealers call it floor plan pressure. They borrow money from lenders to stock new inventory, expecting to repay once each unit sells. But when buyers vanish, those loans don't stop ticking. Insurance premiums, lot rent, and maintenance costs keep climbing while margins shrink. Some dealers have already converted their backlots into fenced storage to delay repossession, hoping a summer sale will bail them out. Others are quietly offering deep discounts to bulk buyers, even at a loss, just to stop the bleeding. When you drive past those lots and see the same units week after week, that's not patience. That's panic with a price tag. When every day costs money, dealers start planning exits. Those exits start with phone calls, not to customers, but to the banks that actually own the rigs. If you've seen storage yards filling up or RVs disappearing overnight, hit like and drop a comment with your city. Those first-hand sightings help map where the dump's still active. The loan clock starts ticking. In dealership financing, everything revolves around the clock, known as the curtailment schedule. Once a new RV sits for 180 days, the dealer must start paying down a portion of that loan, even if the unit never sold. Miss a payment, and the lender has every right to reclaim the title and pull the rig from the lot. Internal memos from several regional lenders show curtailment deadlines accelerating through 2024 as repossession teams work overtime. The moment the balance sheets cross a certain threshold, those RVs are loaded onto haulers and sent to off-site storage or wholesale auctions. It's a process that happens quietly and legally. The public never sees it because the rigs don't go through retail channels. They go back into the financial system. Dealers sign non-disclosure agreements to protect relationships with lenders, and the units reappear weeks later at auctions under generic, aged inventory labels. Every repossession wipes the slate for the lender, but leaves a black mark on local businesses already fighting to stay afloat. For consumers, this shuffle explains why prices look inconsistent from one region to another. Some dealers own their stock, while others are liquidating someone else's collateral, and that's when the clean rigs start disappearing. But just as the loans come due, another threat hits from outside the market. Government regulation. Regulation lights the fuse. California's advanced clean truck regulation was designed to push heavy vehicles towards zero emissions, but it set off an unintended time bomb in the RV world. Beginning in 2025, any vehicle weighing more than 8,500 pounds with a combustion engine faces steep restrictions on sales and registration within the state. 10 additional states, including New York, New Jersey, Oregon, and Washington, have already voted to follow those same standards within the next 2 years. The result? A huge portion of new motorhomes built on diesel or large gasoline chassis will soon be unsellable in those regions. Manufacturers have no viable electric replacements ready, and dealers can't afford to sit on units that might become illegal to register. That's why so many 2024 and 2025 models are being liquidated at record pace right now. Some are rerouted to states without restrictions. Others are bundled for export before the new deadlines take effect. The ripple effect hits everyone. Buyers see faster depreciation, lenders see higher default risk, and factories face sudden production halts. What started as an oversupply problem has become a compliance crisis. If they can't sell them here, they'll find somewhere that will. Discounts that don't work. The markdown started small, 5,000 here, 8,000 there, but even those cuts barely moved inventory. In early listings from national chains, a 2024 Class A, once priced at $129,995, was reduced to $101,000, then again to $94,500. Yet the rigs stayed put. Buyers had already learned to wait out falling prices, knowing that every unsold week gave them leverage. What looked like a deal was really a countdown to desperation. Inside dealer networks, leaked bulletins labeled Aged Inventory Clearance reveal how far some retailers are willing to go. The documents urge managers to accept all reasonable offers on units over 150 days old, warning that floor plan costs are erasing profit. Salespeople were told to target bulk resellers and even mobile home brokers, not individual customers. Still, the buyers hesitated. They understood that if prices had dropped this far, they could drop again. In a falling market, hesitation becomes strategy, and every discounted sticker signals another layer of distress behind the scenes.
Helfer says the general production and labor jobs start at $20 an hour, but people can get paid more for skills and experience they have.
When discounts fail, liquidation begins. Those liquidations don't happen in daylight. They begin quietly, after hours, when the trucks roll in. The after-hours exodus. In dozens of small towns tied to RV sales, locals now see transport haulers moving through the night, flatbeds stacked with unsold rigs, taillights disappearing down service roads. These aren't deliveries to new customers. They're repossessions, transfers, and relocations to off-site yards owned by lenders. Most of these moves happen between 10 at night and 4 in the morning, when lots are closed and questions are fewer. Workers call it the quiet shift. Photos show rows of motorhomes hidden behind fences, VINs covered with temporary finance codes. Lenders reclaim collateral while dealers avoid embarrassment. Once moved, units are sorted by brand and model year, bound for auctions or export. It's an organized retreat, efficient, discreet, erasing oversupply from sight. Trucks arrive empty, leave full, and by sunrise, lots appear clean. Yet the problem hasn't vanished. It's merely shifted. From here, the chain splits 3 ways, each path revealing a different kind of financial fallout still unfolding. Some of those rigs will head to auction blocks, others to foreign ports, and a few will take a detour through the salvage market. Salvage without a crash. On paper, the listings look strange. A nearly new Class C R-V with fewer than 2,000 miles appears on a salvage site, labeled minor transport damage. Another, a diesel pusher with spotless paint, shows cosmetic hail marks, but lists no claim history. These aren't wrecks, they're write-downs. Dealers and lenders often reclassify slow-moving units as damaged to move them through insurance or auction channels without admitting to failed sales. The loophole turns depreciation into a deductible loss. Data gathered from Copart and IAI auctions shows a surge of like-new R-vees entering the salvage system between late 2024 and mid-2025. Many still have factory window stickers attached. Some are purchased by parts suppliers, others by secondary dealers who strip or rebuild them under new VIN assignments. A handful are even repaired and resold overseas, where emission rules are looser. For the companies involved, it's a way to clear inventory and recover cash quickly. For the market, it's a sleight of hand that keeps the true size of the dump hidden from buyers tracking price trends. And some of those rigs are already reappearing under new titles. But not every unit finds a second life. Thousands meet a quieter end inside dismantling facilities built to erase the evidence completely. Breaking the shells. Behind warehouse doors on the outskirts of manufacturing hubs, rows of unsold R-vees sit in line for disassembly. Workers remove appliances, wiring, and panels, sorting each part by material type. Aluminum, fiberglass, and composite flooring are stacked into bins bound for recyclers, but the recovery value rarely exceeds 40% of retail. The rest, insulation, adhesives, foam, and treated wood, is too costly to process and ends up in landfill. Footage leaked from one facility shows nearly new motorhomes stripped bare in less than 30 minutes. This is the unspoken end of the chain, the rigs that never found a driveway or a buyer. Once they are dismantled, the VINs are voided and the paperwork disappears. The decision to scrap isn't emotional, it's economic. Storage costs outrun potential resale gains, and regulatory deadlines make holding unsellable models a liability. Destroying them frees up space and capital faster than discounting them again. To outsiders, it looks like waste. To the companies balancing ledgers, it's efficiency. Yet the image of new shells being torn apart tells the real story of this market's collapse. Cheaper to destroy than to store, that's the quiet scandal. Policy whiplash. The rules that were supposed to clean the air have ended up choking an industry that wasn't ready. California's zero-emission timeline triggered a domino effect that other states rushed to copy, but no two adopted it at the same pace. By mid-2025, 11 states had active or pending bans on new combustion engine motorhomes above 8,500 pounds. Yet enforcement and registration systems differed wildly. A diesel-powered Class A that passes inspection in Texas could be denied registration the moment it crosses into Oregon. Dealers who once sold nationwide now face a maze of regulations that changes every few hundred miles. Buyers caught in the middle are paying the price. Someone who purchases a new coach in one state may discover they can't register it after relocating, turning a six-figure purchase into an immovable asset. Manufacturers can't plan production because every state's timeline moves the goalposts. The industry calls it policy whiplash, not from one law, but from a dozen competing ones. For small dealerships, each change means new paperwork, new risk, and fewer customers. For consumers, it means confusion and shrinking resale value. Same rig, same engine, different fate depending on your ZIP code. As the rules tighten, the data behind the industry tells the story that headlines still avoid. The numbers are collapsing faster than the factories can adjust. Numbers that don't lie. In 2021, RV manufacturers shipped roughly 600,000 units, a record high. By 2024, that number had fallen to around 330,000. On paper, the decline looks like a correction, but inside the plants of northern Indiana, it feels like a crash. Production lines that once ran double shifts now sit idle. The same companies that expanded during the boom are cutting staff and closing warehouses. Local reports estimate that more than 6,000 workers have been laid off since late 2024, most without long-term severance. The cost structure no longer works. It takes nearly $100,000 in labor and materials to build a rig that might retail for $120,000, and that margin collapses the moment prices fall below $100,000. Dealers who discount to move inventory often sell below cost, leaving manufacturers with unpaid invoices and part suppliers waiting months for checks. The entire supply chain strains under its own excess. Charts from trade analysts show the trend line pointing one way, down. The numbers prove it. The boom years are officially over. And when the boom ends on paper, it doesn't just stay on balance sheets. It lands in the neighborhoods that built those machines. If you want the truth behind every dealer markdown before it hits headlines, tap subscribe now. The next report drops soon, and it could save you thousands. Communities on the brink. Drive through Elkhart, Indiana, and you'll see the signs taped to shop doors. Reduced hours, temporary closure, no new hires. For decades, this town lived and breathed the RV business. From metal shops to upholstery warehouses, now the streets are quieter. Restaurants that relied on factory workers for lunch traffic are empty by noon. The ripple effect doesn't stop with production lines. Trucking companies that hauled finished rigs are parking trailers. Campgrounds once filled with seasonal workers are half empty. When the industry sneezes, the town catches pneumonia. In Oregon and Idaho, the story is the same. Drivers lose routes, suppliers cut shifts, and families quietly relocate. The slowdown spreads to clerks, teachers, and fuel stations. It's a silent collapse, too gradual for headlines, with no bailouts coming. When factories stop, every small town feels it first. With livelihoods on the line, the companies left standing face a choice: evolve into something new or vanish into the same scrapyards as their unsold rigs. A crossroads for the industry. Inside trade association meetings, the tone has shifted from optimism to survival. Executives once boasting about growth now talk about transition strategy. Manufacturers are lobbying regulators for flexibility, asking for extended compliance windows or partial electric exemptions. Some are experimenting with lightweight composite frames and hybrid drivetrains that could meet future rules without abandoning combustion entirely. A few small builders in the Midwest are already testing modular R-vees designed to bolt onto electric platforms within the next 5 years. These projects are quiet, but they may be the only path forward. Still, the financial pressure is relentless. Developing new technology costs millions, and investors are wary after the recent collapse. Dealers are demanding simpler designs they can actually sell, while regulators push for zero emissions across every category. The gap between those demands widens each quarter. Industry veterans describe it as the hardest moment since the oil crisis of the 1970s, a make-or-break turning point where innovation is no longer optional. Some companies will adapt and find new markets. Others will downsize or merge to survive, either reinvent or repeat the dump. The rise of the shadow market. When official dealer channels froze under debt, a new market quietly took their place. Small resellers began buying units in bulk at auction, then relisting them online under different names. On Facebook Marketplace and regional classifieds, entire fleets of nearly new R-vees now appear under generic tags like private owner sale or liquidation stock. A VIN trace from one 2024 Class C shows it sold at a lender auction in Indiana, reappeared 6 weeks later under a new dealer alias in Georgia, and then again in Texas, each time with a fresh story. The titles are clean, the photos are recycled, and the discounts are steep enough to pull buyers away from legitimate lots. This gray market operates in the open, yet outside regulation. Some resellers flip 5 or 6 units a month, undercutting official dealers by 20% or more. It is legal, but barely, and it hides the true extent of the post-dump liquidation. Every transaction that bypasses a certified dealer erodes trust in the retail system. But for buyers who know how to trace VINs and confirm paperwork, these channels can reveal real opportunities. The industry may hate it, but this is where the smart money's already shopping. Not everyone is buying and flipping. Some are rebuilding the stranded rigs themselves, turning old stock into something entirely new. Rebuild or retrofit. Across the Midwest, repair shops that once focused on warranty work have found a new niche: reviving unsold R-vees. Rows of parked 2024 models are being gutted, rewired, and fitted with solar systems, lithium battery banks, and weight-reduced interiors. A full retrofit averages around $15,000, depending on labor and parts, compared to nearly $200,000 for a new rig. For many owners, the math is simple. Pay 10% of the cost and end up with better performance and fewer electronics to fail. Footage from one Illinois workshop shows mechanics replacing heavy generators with portable solar panels and upgrading insulation for efficiency. These rebuilt units often sell faster than untouched ones because buyers trust hand-tested simplicity over flashy screens. Some small manufacturers are now partnering with retrofitters, offering certified conversion packages instead of brand new inventory. It's a quiet revolution powered by practicality rather than hype. The rigs built too early are becoming the rigs built to last, and the movement proves that durability still sells, even when innovation doesn't. But while a few rigs find new life, thousands more end up in a very different place. The scrapyards and landfills no one wants to talk about. The waste we don't want to see. Every destroyed coach tells a story of excess. Analysts estimate that since 2024, more than 12,000 tons of composite material from unsold RVs have entered landfills across North America. Fiberglass shells, treated wood, and foam insulation resist recycling, leaving massive waste piles that will outlast the companies that built them. Environmental audits from Indiana and Oregon show that only about 40% of an average motorhome structure can be salvaged profitably. The rest becomes waste, perfectly functional materials buried to make room for the next production run. This isn't an emotional issue, it's arithmetic. When storage costs exceed scrap value, destruction becomes the cheaper line item. The same logic that drove overproduction now drives disposal. Every scrapped unit is a reminder that sustainability slogans mean little without accountability. Industry groups avoid publishing disposal numbers, and regulators classify the data as proprietary. But satellite photos of dismantling yards tell the truth plainly. Hundreds of unregistered R-vees lined up, waiting for dismantling. It is waste hidden in plain sight, a systemic blind spot created by chasing quarterly profit. It's not just bad business, it's bad stewardship. Out of that waste, a smaller, leaner future is starting to take shape, one that might finally balance production with reality. The road ahead. The next phase of the RV industry will look nothing like the last boom. Factories are scaling down production targets by nearly 30% for 2026, focusing on lighter models that can meet evolving emission standards. The age of giant Class A motorhomes is fading, replaced by compact hybrids and towables under 8,500 pounds that skirt the strictest rules. Dealers expect slimmer margins but steadier demand, while buyers may finally see pricing align with real value instead of hype. Used prices are bottoming out. As liquidation ends, values will rise again within weeks. Final markdowns will appear before the fiscal year closes, then disappear. The market will reset around smaller, simpler rigs. This isn't another boom, it's a rebuild. Wait 3 weeks. The next correction has already begun. If this shocked you, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share your thoughts below. Your comment helps expose what's really happening behind the RV industry's curtain. Stay tuned, more's coming.